Hey, everybody. It's Tim Gillette here with a special edition of the Tim Gillette Show. Tonight, we are going to have a conversation about our memories, our stories of the one, the only, Eddie Van Halen. So here is what we're going to do tonight. If you would like to be part of the call, all right, you get to join the conversation, all right there on the screen it is put up, all right, and I'm sure I will get it in the comments very soon so that you can actually see it in the comments, copy, paste, come in, tell your story, maybe how you met Eddie Van Halen, maybe about going to a Van Halen concert, maybe it was the first time you got to listen to a Van Halen CD, cassette tape, album, or even an 8-track. I want to hear your stories tonight. Come in and talk about it. So Eddie Van Halen is one of the very, very, very inspiring for me. And it is sad, and I do mean sad, that we lost him today at the age of 65. And I was in a mastermind with my friends, Craig Duswalt, when he actually said it today. And then I received a text moments later from my brother, Kenny, listening to our hometown radio station, WMMR in Philadelphia, doing a broadcast in tribute to Eddie Van Halen today. So what I thought I would do is, hey, Eddie Van Halen was one of those people who actually taught me when I started Rocker Life Coach brand to go, you know what, you just do it and you watch what other people do and you figure it out. Even if you don't know how to play an instrument, you do it. And when I found Eddie's story, he didn't know how to read music. And yet he became the number one guitarist in the world, according to Guitar Magazine. So I'm going to be bringing people in, and you are welcome to complain. Join the conversation. There is the link. All right. Many people from my email list, my mastermind, are going to jump in tonight and talk about their memories of Van Halen. And just in case, all right, I got to ask, just in case, if you know Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth, give them the link and have them join tonight. I would love it. If you just you happen to know them, bring them into the conversation tonight. All right. They're literally two greats in my name. Well, you know what I mean? I would say Wolfgang, or, you know what I mean, Van Halen or Alex, but, you know, they're family and they're probably dealing with an awful lot of stuff. And our hearts go out to the Van Halen family tonight. But I would love anybody that's been around the Van Halens. If you know anybody who worked in the Van Halen tours, I'd love for them to join the conversation tonight and actually share their stories about Eddie Van Halen. So with that, welcome to the Tim Gillette Show, special edition tonight. Rest in peace, or rock in peace, however you want to put it, Eddie Van Halen. Our first guest tonight is going to be the one, the awesome, let me see here, Mrs. Terry Jordan.
Hi there. I'm so sorry. I thought of you. I thought of Craig Duswalt, everybody today. When I heard this news very early in the morning, you know, fielding calls and everything, and then ba-bam, you know, it's you know, you know this name even if you don't know music.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that impactful. It's that strong. It means a lot. So yeah, I just couldn't believe it. And then, of course, his age is so young.
65.
Yeah. It was a lot. I did work with David Lee Roth. That's the thing that's so funny. But what's really funny is that was years ago. I must have been all of about 20.
Wow.
So I hope he hears you tonight and he comes on, or they come on and want to share with you, because yeah, it's not wow, it's unbelievable. And then to hear about throat, you know, which means that there you cancer, are, not being able to sing.
Yeah. You know, and I heard about it, that he had it, you know, months ago. I heard, well, he's taught it for years, but I heard him talk about it. I don't know whether it was Sammy or Michael Anthony or somebody said that, you know, they knew, like, you know, the time was coming down for him. I heard this about 3 or 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. I don't remember where, though. So... And you know what I mean? To hear it today, like, I was in shock, but I kind of I kind of been waiting to hear it. So,
well, all you can think about is the Angels are going to sound a lot sweeter now. They really are.
There's one kick-ass concert going.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I think even his son said, I can't believe I'm writing this, but it was a struggle for him. It had hit him. Apparently, I cannot believe, or I am surprised whenever I hear that someone has been battling something like this for years, when, the word used to mean the end.
Yeah.
And I guess it was just in this last year that it really took hold and really grabbed him and took him, that I think his family was probably like, yeah, it's better for him now. But we all grieve our loss. So, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was sad for me to hear, as I say, the way I heard it was not the coolest of ways either. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So
no.
I'd love to hear, how did you work with David Lee Roth?
He, as I recall, wanted me to build something for him. Okay, so back in the day when I was doing a lot of big structures, a lot of sculpted structures, and things like this, as I recall, he wanted some sort of wings or suit or something he had asked me to create for him. And I went to his home, and the thing that was really funny is, I was telling my husband this because I saw your call to action come through, and my mother, I didn't know who David Lee Roth was, so my mother was the one who had to tell me who it was, which is very amusing to me because my mom knew all the rockers, and there I was going, So it was very cute. So it was good, so I could study with my mom, because at the time we didn't have the internet or Google. So anyway, but he was a great guy, and we hit it off quite well. But I walked from the CBS studios in Southern California to his home. He had a office and a couple of apartments within walking distance of CBS Radford studio, and that's what I remember, is that walk to meet him, and then my mom saying, "Oh my God, he all of the things that he did." So surprising, and I know that the entire music world is going to be doing just like you're doing, is to celebrate his life. I just heard on Channel 5 they're going to do a special celebration in about half hour or so, bringing together as many as they can, as quickly as they can.
Yeah.
So
now I as I was driving home from the truck, I was going through my satellite radio stations. Ozzy's Boneyard is doing a tribute to him. And then, like, my hometown WMMR in Philadelphia, I know they are. I have their app, so I can always listen in. They're doing a whole tribute day to him. So yeah.
I think it's only fair, especially if music is your life, and many, I'm sure, will say that it was Eddie Van Halen that got them started.
Yeah.
One lady today said, I used to listen to him, all the time when I was a kid, and you're just like, wow.
So you being an artist, Terry, and the stuff that you've done is you're creative in your world. But Eddie Van Halen, I don't know if you know this, but I was reading a thing where he actually, learned to play piano by watching how people put, what keys they pressed, and he just copied them. He didn't know how to read music, but he watched, like, Jimmy Page on guitar do things, and he went home and got his guitar and experimented with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not that level, but that's how I think it was most likely someone like him that made me realize that reading music wasn't as important as people made it. No offense if you read music, because I think that's amazing. But what I learned was you could do exactly that. You could watch people who read music, or you could use your ear and try your best to duplicate what they had done. And it's amazing. If it comes to saying, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't give up. If reading sheet music becomes a challenge for you and you still want to do something, there are ways that you can figure it out, and there you go.
Yeah.
Here's someone who just showed you that's exactly how you do it. This is exactly how you, and you just keep going. And apparently his band, and you would know this more than me, but this band just apparently wasn't in the I don't know who you are level for very long. They kind of exploded, you know.
Yeah.
It's a dream.
As a matter of fact, I heard the story one time of Gene Simmons from Kiss say that Eddie Van Halen in the early stages before their stuff came out, not believing in himself, was going to try to audition to replace Ace Frehley in Kiss. And Gene Simmons said, "No, you need to create your own. You're just too good to be in here. You need to be out on your own."
I mean, isn't that great that you have someone that turns to you and says, you know, we'd love to have you, but we would be doing you a disservice.
Yes.
You know, you need to go out and strike out on your own. And I'll bet you at the time he was kind of like, oh, you know, because we say this to ourselves. Oh, he just didn't want to tell me that I'm not that good. Do you know what I mean? And then one day he, you know, bam, and he goes, okay, maybe that wasn't it. Maybe I was that. Wow, he was right. You know.
But you think of the early Van Halen albums. How many of those songs on their earlier albums were, you know, were what I can't think of the name of the word, but there were songs that other people had done and wrote. They just redid them.
Yes, exactly. Were his interpretations of them.
Yeah. And it wasn't until like 1984 that album was all their work.
Yeah.
All right. And then they go on to with Sammy Hagar, and that's all their work. And oh my gosh, it's just creativeness.
Well, it comes down to what you said, right? You say don't live in your comfort zone, because then he could have been someone who just recreated other people's music, you know, his versions of other people's stuff. They were saying that about Helen Reddy the other day. Her, you know, we just lost her too. And they were saying, you know, this song, I Am Woman, and now, you know, and one of the other, and it was made popular again by another songstress who took it. I mean, I'm not a musician, so I can't say, but I think other ones do that first, just to kind of have that little bit of a support. They know if they can nail it, and it's already got a following, but if they can bring an additional following to it because they're paying homage properly, then I think that's fantastic. But eventually, just like you've always said, you're going to have to cut that loose and do your own stuff.
Do your own stuff, man.
You got to do it. You got to do it. But it's nice to know you have a couple of little trials you could do maybe before you launch it.
Oh, we have another guest calling in.
Yay! Congratulations.
Jake Valentine. How are you, Jake?
What's going on? How are you?
Yeah. Good, buddy. Yeah, I'm getting an echo on myself tonight. I don't know what the heck it is.
You know what? I'm gonna leave and come back because I think I need to get headphones in.
How about now? I'm still there. I don't know what the heck.
Are you echoing yourself? I hate when that happens.
Yeah, I'm echoing myself, and I can't figure out why.
We can't hear it, but it sure will make you crazy.
How about now? I'm still there. I don't know what it is. So
Gremlins.
And I hit the echo cancellation button, but it didn't seem to take. So I don't know. It could be the fact that I'm listening in an earphone and not on my desk thing tonight, which I'm glad, because that would really echo in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yes, absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, you guys, so here's the deal. If you're listening in on Facebook or watching this, come in and tell your Van Halen story tonight. It doesn't matter. Even if it was something that Eddie inspired you, that's what this broadcast is about tonight. Just, you know, sharing maybe the first time you listened to an Eddie Van Halen song. So, Cynthia says she hears my echo, but it's cool. That could be the... Anyway, I'm going to try to fix it again. 1, 2, 3. And try that. How about now? It's still there. I can't get rid of it.
It could be what you were obsessed with tonight.
It could be the thing that irritates me that I don't actually get it done. This is what happens when you're a perfectionist.
Yeah. Or you just want your channel to look good. Like today, mine's not perfect, but you caught me at a time when I was in middle of another little training, and I said I'm going to jump in and tell you that I think Eddie Van Halen is iconic. I mean, for me, I'm one of these people who don't know the names of musicians oftentimes, and honestly, this one is a name I know. You know, there are names that you know even if you don't follow or swim in music waters, and this is one I know.
Yeah.
So, and throughout my life, I know. Yeah.
And it's been great. So, Robert, I'm imagining talking to a stadium of my people. Or Eddie's people tonight. They're not my people tonight. They're Eddie's people tonight.
Yeah.
So, let me bring Jake back in. How about there?
Hey, what's going on? Now I don't have the echo.
Jake's happier now.
Yes.
Cool. Well, Jake VanHalen. First of all, wait a minute. Terry, tell everybody about you and what you do, because I know you're my mastermind. I want to make sure I share that with everybody.
I'm a Walt Disney Imagineer and Jim Henson puppeteer. Have worked with the Disney company for over 30 years off and on. I'm like gum on their shoe. They can't get rid of me, so that's good. And then, as you said, Tim, I'm in your mastermind because, like many, I had to learn this enigma called social media. And I went directly to Blog and VideoCon because I wanted someone to make it simple and easy. And you told me you could. In fact, I remember the first time I looked up at you, I said, don't break my heart because I really need help with this. And I am scraping together coin to do this but I needed to make a difference. I think people are happy to invest in something if it turns out to be what you invested in, instead of waking up one day and realizing it's not, and there's no refund, and that just keeps building. So this is the case. You've made a huge difference in the time that I've been with you. I started out with an iPhone, and the very first thing you taught me how to do was to shoot movie mode, shoot horizontally instead of asking people to turn.
That means put your phone like this, guys, not like this.
And you said to do it. You showed me how to do it first. You know, don't write your title or anything. Get your phone orientation first. And this may seem silly to many, but I knew this much about broadcasting or being a part of any of this, and I just really didn't know how to do it. But that's where it started, and now I'm on your events showing people how to do a 3 and 4 camera setup and things like that for under $1,000. So,
I know. It's so cool that you were the one who did that on my event, talking about how cameras.
Yeah, and now I can do the update. You know, today I had someone call. He saw me on Facebook and he said, "How are you switching between all these? This is amazing." You know, and you just go, and you know what it is? It's how are you doing it? Not how are you switching it? How are you doing it? You who used an iPhone for 3 years and had to find out, you know, sound is important, lighting is important. You just super basic. So I thank you for that, Tim. And I've been able to talk to people all over the world, Zoom calls, StreamYard. You just really have helped me. It was a long road to find the guru of my choice, and you are definitely it. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on tonight, sharing your story, Terry. And I know we're going to bring Terry on again some other time. She's always here.
I'm heading out. You guys have fun. I'm off to watch this special on Eddie Van Halen. So, you know, there's tons of them. So thank you for inviting me.
I'm going to search the TV for him when I'm done. So.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Terry.
All right. Take care, all.
Jake VanHalen, how are you, brother?
Very good. I'm doing very good. First thing I want to say is Terry is a celebrity to me, being a Walt Disney Imagineer. I'm so excited about that. We'll have to have a conversation another time. I am obsessed with it. In fact, right there is a 1960 map of Disneyland, and I'm just obsessive with Disney stuff. So I would love. In fact, there's Mickey Mouse over there.
He's sleeping.
Yeah, he is. Well, that's the one that's the same size as my son. Currently, he's his wrestling buddy.
Yeah, well, Tim will have to tell you about my hitchhiking ghosts. I'm about ready to launch a new set of sculptures that are really becoming quite popular, and I haven't even introduced the prototypes yet. But again, these hitchhiking ghosts are available. Look me up. You can learn about it. Google me. Talk to Tim. Well,
I love the hitchhiking ghost. No, I have a unhealthy obsession, so I'd love to have a conversation with you.
It's great. Well,
the Imagineering story on Disney Plus was unbelievable.
Aren't they great? Yeah, they're really good. I haven't been on there yet, but that's because I think they're afraid of what I'm going to say.
There you go.
I don't have a catalytic converter on my mouth, so I think they want them more corporate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there you go.
But I'm not. So I broadcast live. Tim will tell you all about it, or you can just Google me, and you'll find me across the platform because life has changed. That I really am a lot more savvy now.
And this month, you're on
Outrageous
Food Network, Outrageous Pumpkins as a judge.
Oh,
as a judge, yeah. So you can go on the Food Network and see me judge. Did you watch last week? Last week was amazing.
Yes, we watched. We watched last week, and then we watched last night. Our Sunday nights we watched live.
Yeah, I was so proud of it. I just was like, okay, now we're rolling.
Yeah.
So, but awesome. Let me not take you from Eddie because that's what people
are. That's what I wanted to talk about.
I love you guys. Eddie. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we'll talk soon.
All right, my friend.
Okay. Take care, my love.
Bye. So I'm gonna pull you down and bring Jake up.
Tim,
how are you, brother?
Good. I learned the news from this. I saw this post pop up, and I went, "What?" I was like, I had to look it up immediately to say, like, what? And it was an hour ago, a couple hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always loved Van Halen. Now, Van Halen was a little bit before my time, but I was an old soul, and I always loved Van Halen, like Van Halen, and plus I'm from Pasadena. They're from Pasadena. One thing that me and most of Van Halen has in common is all of us were kicked out of Pasadena City College. So there you go. We have that in common.
That's something to have in common with Eddie Van Halen. So
there you go. Well, I know at least David Lee Roth was. I don't know about the rest of them. I actually had I took a piano class at Pasadena City College, and there's a guy, I don't remember his name, but he said he was in a high school band that they called Van Halen, and it was with Eddie, and it was with, what's his brother's name?
Alex.
With Alex, yeah, Eddie and Alex, and him playing keyboard. And then at some point he decided in high school that it was a better idea for him to go and do something else and get serious about his education and that kind of stuff. And then they added David to the band a couple years later, and then they became huge. But he's like, yeah, I was in it. I was in Van Halen. It was when we just played in high school, but I was in it. That was pretty cool. But yeah, go.
It's interesting. I mean, you look at things like that and go, man, if only I knew them way back when. And like, some of those people who did, and they see they go on to stardom, and everybody said Eddie was a very humble person to talk with, I'll bet, that friend is probably like, yeah, I'm sad. But in a way he knew that, the band probably with me would not have gone to where it was. Just like if you look at like the David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar transition, I love the Dave side. I'm a Dave guy. All right.
I'm a Dave guy. I don't really care for the Hagar.
Yeah. Side. I don't care for, well, no. I like Sammy's stuff. I just like Dave's better, but Sammy's stuff was more popular. They sold more. They did more. They had bigger concerts under Sammy. So you know what I mean?
That's with the foundation of what they did with Dave. I mean, that's because of the compound effect. That's like saying like, well, you look at a band that replaces members as they move on, because as they grow old or whatever happens, and you say, well, they're more popular now. You go like, well, I don't know if that's necessarily. I mean, kind of, but it's built on the back of what they did. I mean, like another good example is think about like, AC/DC with Bon Scott and Brian Johnson. Now that's probably the best transition of a lead singer of
Ever.
any band. Yeah, because Bon Scott represents the early days of AC/DC, and then Brian Johnson came out with Back in Black, and then all that they did there, and that's most of their commercial success. But they wouldn't have got to where they got without Bon Scott in the beginning. But anyway, David Lee Roth era is definitely my favorite. But Eddie, the lighting doesn't really work much. I tried to put up there's Eddie.
There's Eddie
playing a solo right there. This is from a concert where the whole crowd, I mean the whole band leaves and it's just Eddie up on the stage just doing a guitar solo, and it's unbelievable. I've watched this thing a bunch. But Eddie was just so cool. I love his guitar, his guitar solos and all those songs. They're all so original. They're all so unique. And also, let's not forget that he also played a lot of guitar on Michael Jackson music too.
Yep.
He plays on Beat It. That awesome line. And he just awesome. Good stuff. And some of the stuff I like the most is kind of not necessarily their most popular stuff. The album Women and Children First? You remember that album? And they have that song, Could This Be Magic? And it's like this flat picking kind of acoustic stuff. Like that's my favorite Van Halen stuff is that stuff. I think that's just amazing.
Here's a question I want to ponder out there, and you guys in the chat can actually answer this as well. Do you think the band Van Halen could go on without Eddie? Could it? Think about that concept really good, because his son, Wolfgang, was a very, very good guitar player, by the way.
I think they would have, Wolfgang, you're right. He's great. And I think Wolfgang's played bass with them.
He does. But think about it. That could be the key that reunites everybody on the stage, is Wolfgang playing guitar, Michael Anthony back on bass, and then having both Sammy and Dave together. Well, that would be
maybe for one night. I don't see Sammy and Dave playing together for very long.
That would be like heaven of tribute. All right. There's no better tribute than that. If you could do it. Anyway.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you are on here and David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, tell them to call in tonight. I would love to have them on the call. Just curious. Just in case you know them, I got to put that out there. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You never know. But I would say that they could definitely do a great tribute tour. It'd be really cool to have like different guitarists come on. Like you remember right after George Harrison died, they did a really cool concert where they brought in a bunch of people, and they're doing this when they played While My Guitar Gently Weeps. You had Tom Petty up there who was doing lead singing, but then Prince did the guitar solo, and it was unbelievable. Unbelievable what he did. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, we actually were playing that the other week. We had somebody at the house. We pulled it up, and we actually found it on YouTube and played it because we wanted to talk about that. And it's just a cool, you know what I mean? One of the coolest guitar combinations ever.
Oh,
anyway.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then he chucks the guitar at the end of the solo. And it went off camera, so you're like, I don't even know where it went. It's still going.
Yeah. Anyway, and it was sad when we lost Prince, but oh my God, Van Halen is like, he's like an inventor with guitars.
Oh, the stuff that he did.
He owns several patents around a guitar. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Owns several patents around the guitar. Yeah, that he created. Yeah. Anyway, it was a genius in the guitar world.
You know what I'm going to do right now? I got my old college roommate who was still obsessed with Van Halen. There's very few people who know more about Van Halen than Randy Peterson. I'm going to see if he'll join us in this conversation, because he would be a good companion here. Let me come right back.
Okay.
All right.
So tonight we are actually writing a tribute to Eddie Van Halen, who has passed away today at the age of 65, all right, legendary guitarist of the band Van Halen, all right, and the guitar side of the Van Halen brothers, legendary. If you don't know who Eddie Van Halen is, you really, in the past 40 years, have not listened to much pop music. He is just, that is how in depth you knew Eddie Van Halen in the music industry. So if you have a story about Eddie Van Halen, or you have a story about Van Halen, I want you to just call in tonight. All right. Come on the screen. Tell us your story of, maybe it was listening to your first time you listened to a Van Halen album. Maybe it was a concert you went to. Maybe you were at a concert that was a first with them. All right. I would love for you to actually call in tonight. All right. The actual link is in there in the conversation there. If I can come up and bring it up in the comments, I will show it to you again. If I can find it. I had it here and I lost it. Anyway, because it's back up too far. And already I have got it going. But anyway, please, tonight, all right, guys, this is a tribute to Eddie Van Halen, all right? Our show is only going to be on here for about another 30 minutes, all right? Anybody who wants to call in and tell their story can call in and tell their story is what we do. But I'm not going to go on too long with it, all right? Because I want to keep within my normal podcast length. So anyway, I want to tell you guys a story, first of all, that I knew, that I have about Van Halen. In 1984 concert, they actually played the tour in 1984. They played in the Philadelphia Spectrum, which is not there anymore. And I actually remember sneaking out of my parents' house, because my parents didn't let me go to concerts back then. Sneaking out of my parents' house, getting a ticket. I bought a ticket from a scalper to get in the concert. I remember having to do anything and everything to get down to that concert that night in Philadelphia. I didn't drive at the time, didn't have a car. All right. I was trying to catch a ride with a friend and couldn't. So I ended up like taking buses and trains and getting down there. And then I got a ride back with a friend. But I was actually in that concert that night in the audience. The unique thing about that concert in 1984 was the crowd shots in that concert are the crowd shots in the music video Panama. I was actually in the audience for that, in that video. You're never going to pick my face out in that crowd. You're probably going to pick anybody's face out in that crowd. But I was in the crowd when they shot the camera coming over, zooming over and shooting the crowd and watching it. And I can say to people, well, technically, I was in a music video. I was in a Van Halen video because I was at that concert. And that's where the footage they used for the concert or for the video of Panama. So the next thing I want to talk about is, there's this guy getting on a flight coming from Los Angeles back here to Texas many, many years ago. And these guys that look like a bunch of rockers were kind of sitting in the airport, you know what I mean? And I sat down next to them waiting for the flight and talking to these guys and saying, man, and I'm actually trying to find out, I'm fresh. I think I'm still friends with some of the guys on here, and I wish I could get them on tonight, to tell you the truth. But these guys actually had a tribute band, a Van Halen tribute band, and this guy Lance was their guitarist playing. Let's see if I can find Lance tonight. I can't find Lance's information. How many Lances I have? Is that him? Yeah. Lance Turner is his name. And he actually sat on the seat next to me. He played in the tribute band, the Atomic Punks. So if anybody of you know the tribute band, the Atomic Punks, all right. Lance Turner was their guitarist. He plays their guitar. He lives in Encino. I know I'm Facebook friends with him, but I haven't seen him in years. So anyway, and he just posted out on his wall a picture of Eddie. All right, passing probably looks like about 4 hours ago. So he was online a little bit ago. Lance is not going to find me. I haven't talked to him in ages. But anyway, so what is your story? Did you attend a concert that was memorable? Do you know a story where you maybe met Eddie Van Halen that was a memorable time? Do me a favor and, get on actually get on, and I'm trying to see where everybody's on so I can actually get it on the actual screen here tonight. And get on here and tell us your story tonight. And I'm actually going to put it in the comments now and then bring it up. Did that get it? There we go. So it's in the comments. That's the link. It will bring you in here to the studio where you can tell us on the air your story about Eddie Van Halen. Sad to say that today, Eddie Van Halen passed away at 65 years of age from throat cancer. And you know what I mean? It was something that Eddie had been battling for some time. So I was trying to find out anything that I could find out here. So he was diagnosed. Was it suffered from? Yeah, Van Halen was an alcoholic, drug abuse. All right. He stated that he began smoking and drinking from the age of 12. He entered rehabilitation in 2007, 2015 interview. He stated that he had been sober since 2008. He underwent in 2012, surgery. All right. And 2019, it was revealed that he was battling with throat cancer over the previous 5 years. And then he died this morning at 65 years of age from throat cancer. So, Eddie, you know what I mean? As well as, you know, a guitarist that everybody knows. And for me, it's always been an inspiration because I knew that Eddie Van Halen, literally when he got started on his guitar, did not know how to read music. And a man who did not know how to read music became such a legend in the guitar world that it just blows my mind. And speaking of music, you know, I want to bring on another guest here. And this guy here does a podcast called, you know what I mean, the playlist, building your playlist. I'm going to have him say it, but he makes his about his playlist. Mr. John Iverchester, how are you?
Hey, Tim, can you hear me all right?
Yep, man. How are you, man? Where are you? You look like you're out in the woods.
I'm in some of the deep, dark parking lot over in North Richland Hills.
So John, first of all, tell everybody about your podcast and what you do in the music space.
Yeah, the idea of the power positive playlists is getting people to leverage the music that they already listen to help them get more of what they want in life. So if you're going through rehab, then, you know, are you trying to get better habits? Are you trying to get more strength and overcoming an addiction? If you're somebody who's trying to be an entrepreneur, somebody who's trying to write a book, whatever it is, how are you using the music, again, that you already love to start getting what you want, to get those goals, to get the objectives, to get the people around you, to start making better choices? Music's going to be the thing that can help you with that.
Mm-hmm. So today, you know, in the music and the podcast and playlist type world, we lost Eddie Van Halen.
I know, it really took us out of left field.
Yeah. What's your memory with Eddie Van Halen? Or
well,
your story?
I have a lot. I remember I was working as I was working as a board op at a couple of radio stations here in Dallas back in the late 70s. And I was listening to their first album, their second album, Women and Children First. And when you listen to their first album, which is produced by Ted Templeton, the way he produced that album gave this studio album a live feel. So it added the energy to it. And Eddie was part of that. I mean, Eddie wasn't just, you know, some kid that shows up into a studio and says, well, here I go, I'm going to play guitar and, you know, just put it together. Eddie was very much involved in it. He was a technician. Other parts of it later on, when I was in college, I was taking some guitar classes, and I'm no Eddie. By the way, I love the background, the Eddie's guitar. That's nice touch, man. Awesome. And I was taking guitar class, and there were guys in there that were aping Eddie. Everybody aped Eddie, you know, that was trying to be a lead. And the guitarist, some of y'all may know him. He was at Richland. He had a bar that was in Deep Ellum. The guy's name was Tony Stanko. Anyway, Tony was teaching these licks and such, and people were just running up and down the neck. And he goes, you got to start learning your own process. You have to start thinking in advance. And I learned this later. He said, you have to play it in your mind first. Eddie was a thinker. You would watch him play, and he was playing, a beat or two ahead at least, where his fingers were going to go to play that guitar. You watch good drummers or percussionists, and they'll tell you that you play it in your head, you play it in your mouth. Eddie's doing licks in his head. You see him play it with his mouth. He's doing that too, because he's getting his fingers to work for him. And at the very beginning, Eddie was turning his back in his concerts. You didn't see him play because he had his own style and he didn't want people to steal it, which inevitably they did. But he was doing hammer-ons with his left hand while still doing, his regular work with the right. It's absolutely astounding. Really, really good stuff. I enjoyed watching him. Did I have a run-in with the man? I went to a couple of concerts. I remember one at Reunion Arena, and I was doing some backstage work with another company, really fairly unrelated to the concert. And I got real close to the band, and you could tell the band was coming because everybody was just kind of milling around. And the warm-up band was like Triumph, if anybody remembers them.
I do remember Triumph. Yep.
I like them, and I think they had and then there was Trooper. I think one time did it, and Trooper was kind of a local band, I think. And Trooper did Raise a Little Hell. Anyway, so all of a sudden there was this moving island of girls moving from the backstage, and it was the band coming with their following, I guess is the best way I can say it in a nice podcast live way. And here comes the band, and I'm looking around at him, and Eddie isn't looking at the chicks. You think it's a rock and roll lifestyle, but he's not looking. And sorry, I'm calling them chicks, but
women, for you chicks that are offended, women.
Yeah, the way the girls were throwing themselves. I'm sorry, these were chicks. But anyway, but Eddie wasn't looking at it. Eddie was already on stage. Eddie was already, starting to play the opening thing, which was Eruption that night. Mm-hmm. And he was just already there. And even though the girls were flashing and they were kissing and hugging and such, and the guys were trying to keep apart, nope, Eddie didn't have anything about it. So it was incredible focus. And it's a great lesson for anybody. People sit there, well, I get unfocused if the kids or the dogs or the wife or the weather or, the politics. Give me a break. Most guys get distracted with boobs. This guy had dozens of boobs around. Must have been about 57 boobs around the guy. And he was not paying attention. He was looking straight up and on stage, focused on what he was trying to get done. Amazing.
Well, I'm actually monkeying with things and going, hey, do you have a story about Eddie Van Halen? Share it. I actually, John, while I have you on here, I actually want to play this interview that I found of him. Do you mind?
Please, let's hear it.
Let's hear it. So let me bring this on here for a Chrome tab. Any share audio. Let's see if it'll come up here. And then I'm going to.
Oh, here he is.
Mike Tyson, kicked you in the chest. And, but, through trial and error, I continued to fuss around with stuff.
And it also goes with your playing technique, too, because you're known for playing with both your right hand and your left hand on the fretboard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which brings me to I can
Whoops.
There goes the earpiece.
There goes the microphone. Yeah.
But it's worth it if we get the guitar in his lap.
There it is.
Maybe, yeah.
Is it working? Yeah, good.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's see if we can do that again.
I didn't know this was going to be a straight.
Come on, stage crew, get up there.
So, yeah, for those that are in the audio thing, basically he was trying to take his shirt off, and the microphones are always clipped to one shirt, and the microphone was clipped to his shirt. So, and this is a video.
More power.
Okay, so, a lot of people, before the internet, nobody could search things and whatever, but lately everybody's going, oh, Eddie Van Halen didn't invent tapping and pull hammer-ons and pull-offs and this and that. And I never claimed that I did, but I do know how and when I figured out how to do it. And on top of that, I never really heard anybody do with it what I did, which is actual pieces of music. But I'll never forget, Alex and I used to go to every concert at the Forum in LA, and Led Zeppelin's playing, and Jimmy Page is going like this. He's going. Okay, so he's got his hand up in the air, and I'm going. So basically, I just moved the nut. Okay, this part right here is the nut. But then I instead of using this hand, I use this hand. So like right now, if I go like this.
I love it because he's turning away from the camera.
See, it's a natural habit.
Finger I'm using. This hand or that hand? You tell me, right hand or left hand?
He's using both.
I'm using both. Okay. So my point being is it's basically this finger or these two or however many you want to use is just an extension of this hand. Okay, so if I'm playing an A. Then, figuring that out, then I started actually making little pieces, like Eruption.
So I'm going to stop it before they cut my video because I have licensed stuff.
Right.
It is licensed. So anyway, but anyway, that was an interview I seen a couple months ago, and I was like, oh man, that's such a cool interview, and it was done in 2017.
There's another, of course, there's thousands of interviews with Eddie. A real early one I saw back in the 90s, my own dad showed me because Dad loved Les Paul. And, and Les Paul, he didn't create the electric guitar, but he perfected it and made it more portable. He also worked on multi-track. And so rock and roll music would have been delayed if Les hadn't come along and so on and so forth. And he was a guitarist on his own right, also a popular player. He had his wife, Mary Ford. Anyway, they had Eddie on the show with Les Paul and a host of other players. And he played Eruption again. And he talks about, he goes, I don't know anything about music theory. He said, and I don't know much about the history. I just know what I've seen and I know what I like. And that's a real good lesson. But you can tell the difference between his playing, and I can't remember the man's name, but Pat Benatar's husband and guitarist. You listen to his playing.
No, that's not Neil. Yeah.
And and I'm not knocking the man. It's just you could hear a different style. The way he plays, he goes after like a fiddle player does. He knows licks. He plays this series of this sounds bad. I don't mean it, but a series of guitar cliches that work really well for what, with Pat. That's why they make a dynamic duo, so to speak. Eddie kicked down the fences. He didn't care about that. And he just knew what felt viscerally good. And you heard him, talk about Plant and such. Yeah, he's certainly in that neighborhood.
Yeah, he was. To me, I know he, in a way, he looked up to Jimmy Page. You know what I mean? Yep. And you know what I mean. And he thought, that was a hero. There's some of the stuff he learned. You read some of the other stuff I read where. Basically, he studied and tried to learn everything from, what that Eric Clapton did with Cream and tried to copy it and learn it. And he did that without knowing how to read music. He did that by watching how they play and then trying to mimic it himself. And, for me, as a podcaster and, as a content creator, I've always come around with the idea of, learn something. and find your own difference while learning it. And it's something that, like, I see when I heard Eddie Van Halen say, well, I didn't know how to read music. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to read music either. But I didn't know how to work a microphone. I didn't know how to create a podcast. I didn't know how to create a blog. There's a point in time we didn't know a lot of this stuff, but we figured it out. And that's what Eddie was. He's someone who figured it out, and not only figured it out, but changed his industry of guitar players. You think about that. Changed the guitar industry. So Melody Weiser, if you're still listening, Eddie Van Halen, the lead guitarist from Van Halen, passed away today at 65 years of age. All right. Cancer, from throat cancer. And, you know, rest in peace, Eddie. Our hearts go out to the Van Halen family, you know, to all those who knew him. And if you know David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar or anybody who maybe worked on the tour with them, tell them, give them the link tonight, have them call in. We'd love to hear their information, hear their stories about how they worked with Eddie. So I would love it if I could get my mentor to call in, but I'm sure he's busy now with something because he just got home from an all-day event with me. Anyway. Did
you hear the cause of death? They're saying it was he wasn't much of a smoker or something. His lungs were clear, but he himself in interviews said that he was always chewing on brass and copper picks and silver picks. And he always held it in the same place, which is the part of the mouth and the tongue that they had to remove because of the cancer.
Yeah.
So, and then he said also he was around a lot of electronics, which he says affected his health as well. Yeah.
And, you know, my Uncle Mike had cancer a couple of years ago, and it was, I'm trying to think, it was the one that they're right now, the biggest thing they're talking about is the people who get causes of that cancer are from the weed eater stuff, Roundup.
Oh yeah.
All right. And my uncle was like, you know what I mean? I asked him, like, you know, what do you think he does? And he says the only thing he could imagine is he plays golf a lot. And so often he would just clean his golf ball by putting it in his mouth.
Oh my gosh.
And he says, I'll bet that's where it came from, for the fact that how often he was playing on a golf course. We never think about what we do throughout it. All right. And what we do, how it affects our lives and how it defines what will be with our lives, you know? But those people, you know what I mean, who always skirt the edge are the ones unfortunately we lose them early, you know, because they've tested the things of time. So anyway, so, and yeah, any other memories you got of Eddie, John?
Well, playing it on the radio again is doing some basic jock work. And I also, you know, as a kid, I did ice skating rinks as a DJ, and I did parties galore. I mean, Van Halen, along with people like Boston and such, were party bands.
Yeah.
They were a little bit different. Boston was really a true party band. Van Halen, yeah, but there was something a little bit more to it. You know, you never did put on like Pink Floyd for a party. It just didn't work. Comfortably Numb just didn't swing. So it was a matter of what you really wanted to do. So when you're listening to your music and you're listening to early Van Halen with Diamond Dave, you're listening to something that's making you hear to feel good. You know, you have to know what you were doing. If you were doing something that later triggers you or later causes a problem, then yeah, you need to be aware of that with your music, as with anything. But they tried to, I don't know, it's like they almost tried to go legit for a while with Sammy. And then they vacillated back and forth. All I can say is thank goodness they had one more album, 5 years ago? They
did
one more.
Yeah, one more 5 years ago with David, and I think, you know, some of the tracks and stuff. I had Wolfgang playing bass, and you know, and so on. So I mean, yeah, it was. I can't think of the name of the album too. I'd have to go look it up to tell you the truth. And I will. I'll look it up while we're talking. But yeah, it was a very interesting album because it had some of the stuff that they'd had down for years. They just never put on recorded. So.
Yeah, a lot of artists do that when they start getting older. They go back to their early stuff when they were hungry. Stevie Nicks has done that. Just a lot of artists do. Hopefully, you know, we'll never see a guy on a skateboard with cranberry juice lip syncing "Dance the Night Away." But it could work. You never know.
So A Different Kind of Truth came out in 2012, 8 years ago.
Was it that long?
Well, wait, they did one Tokyo Dome Live in 2015. All right, but yeah.
Wow.
I'm actually trying to bring that one up right now. So Tokyo Dome Live, all right, in concert. I'm gonna look. It says it was a live album by Van Halen, released March 2015. It was the first live album with original lead vocalist David Lee Roth, and second live album overall after 1993's Live Right Here, Right Now.
Now.
Yeah. That was, to me, one of their greatest songs I love was Right Here, Right Now.
I liked it too.
Yeah. And that was one of Sammy's songs. Yeah. That really was a really inspirational song. So,
can we get some of your listeners to come in either now or later and say, first of all, the quintessential question with Van Halen is, are you a Diamond Dave or a Sammy guy?
So let's do that, because we always do this thing on our Tim Gillette show with a segment called This or That.
Yeah.
So let's play This or That, and you put it in the comments. And let's go. First question, Sammy or Dave? Put it in the comments for us, and we'll count them up and see here in a couple minutes while I come up with a second This or That question relating to Van Halen while I research this and go back to do this. So, what was your favorite of the two? John?
I always have a cop-out answer when people ask me on my favorite whatever, favorite album or song or whatever, and it really depends upon my mood. Diamond Dave was crazy. I mean, his vocals were totally unpredictable.
Yeah. And
just really off the wall. Where Hagar was more trained, I liked his style. Of course, I was listening to him with voice of VOA and I Can't Drive 55 and such like that. He was well established. I never understood why he got into Van Halen. He certainly didn't need to. I've seen the guy walk down the streets of Manhattan shaking hands with his fans, and he'll pose with every one of them. He's real good to his fans. You'll meet a lot of rockers. I've heard, well, I don't want to get into nitpicking, but Hagar's not one of them. He's totally plays along with them. Yeah. So my favorite is just what mood I'm in. You?
So me, I was always a Dave fan. I like Dave's better. All right. I'm not saying I don't like Sammy. I like Sammy's music, but I liked Dave better. And I thought his acrobatics and stuff he did with the band was cooler, wilder, and it was just my favorite of the two.
Yep.
So one person put down Sammy. We're getting in. The numbers are starting to wane out as we're getting close to the end of the hour here. The This or That, was always a fun game to play. And I actually put in every now and then, I actually have thrown in my This or That game, Sammy or Dave. But, there was a couple songs that Gary Cherone did that were pretty good with them. Just saying.
I'll take that.
Gary's, on Van Halen 3, Gary's songs Without You was a cool song. It was a long song, but it was a good song. And Fire in the Hole was another one that was pretty good. Yeah.
I loved Fire in the Hole. That was a great album. Great song. Yes, I that was fun. Yeah,
I'm trying to see if I can actually play it here. But
I remember when you could the first time I got a Van Halen CD. They weren't in the initial releases when CDs were first coming out, like in '81. That was mainly a CBS thing, and Warner Brothers got on the bandwagon and eventually put out. I think it was number 2, or that came out maybe first. And wow, it was just you felt so cool being able to have their album on CD instead of vinyl, which back then we looked at as lesser than. Now we look at as more than. If you ask me,
I'm going to put this.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to leave it on for long because I don't want to get cut again. that was the beginning of Fire in the Hole, and I'm not going to continue to play it because I do not want to actually have my broadcast cut off again. I've done that before. The broadcast got cut off, so I'm just saying, not going to do it again. But everybody's probably doing this tonight, so.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite album by him?
I still got to say 1984 is still my favorite album.
Panama and such.
Yeah. Panama, you know what I mean? It was, Panama, Hot for Teacher was a one kick-ass freaking song. There are so many on that. Everybody else likes Jump, but what I mean? Top Jimmy, Hot for Teacher, even Drop Dead Legs was pretty good. In Panama, I'll Wait was interesting, but not as good. Hot for Teacher and Top Jimmy, I think, are probably Hot for Teacher and Drop Dead Legs probably, I think, are the two best on that album, in my opinion.
Hot for Teacher's intense. I love the drumming on that thing. Gosh, that's just something else.
That was it. Oh my God. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, Alex originally bought a guitar and Eddie originally bought a set of drums. And eventually they tried each other's instrument out. So, and it became better. I got sick and tired of hearing Jump. Still, when I hear it now, it's like it's so overplayed. And my wife ruined me to the song because she told me, and I found out, later, that it was like Eddie's venture into being a keyboardist. Yeah. And you can hear it, just the ascending, when you have this God type guitarist playing it a little basic on the keyboards, you got to give him credit for being a multi-instrumentalist, but the song only sold billions of copies, so obviously I'm not the main talker on this, but it was just uncomfortable to some amount. But so many bands, I don't think they ever got sick of playing, but so many bands, that one hit that becomes the never-ending hit that everybody wants to hear, some bands get sick of playing it. And really, Jump is the one song from then that was majorly overplayed. I got to say, one of my original favorites was Running with the Devil. I mean, the Eruption and Running with the Devil. Oh my God. So, I mean, that was one of the the coolest, introductions to Van Halen. So,
and you don't hear Running with the Devil much anymore. They hardly play it. They just stick with the 3 or 4 and that's it. Yeah.
So, in here, all right, again, if you guys are in here and you want to come on for a couple minutes, please come on, share your stories, because I'm going to wrap it up here in a couple minutes. I need 1 or 2 more people come in, share their stories about what they actually loved about Van Halen. And it can be anything from, hey, it was the first time I ever heard them, to anything. We're playing tribute tonight to legendary guitarist Eddie Van Halen, who passed away today at age 65. So,
and remember, as you're doing this, folks, when you're listening to Eddie, listen to the Van Halen over the next few weeks as you grieve, because you're going to grieve. I when I first found out and I was on a social media, I said, this one's going to hurt. Matter of fact, that was on the Mental Motivator, CJ's.
Yeah, CJ's.
I said, this one's going to hurt. There's some people, when you find out that they pass and you never really were, close to them, so to speak, but sometimes it's just smart. So when you're listening to their music, ask yourself, this is an excellent opportunity. Ask yourself why you're listening to it. Why does this matter? What have you invested into Panama? What have you invested for Hot for Teacher, Eruption, whatever it is? What's that so affects you? Is it affecting you good? Is it something you really want to repeat? Is it helping you grieve through the process, or is it arresting you? Because I've had a lot of people that they keep picking at wounds, and when they pick at wounds, it doesn't heal. And they're picking at wounds, listening to the same old songs, and that's a very toxic, a toxic playlist.
Yeah, it is. So, and I'm actually seeing who else is. I'm actually checking the other places I have this plugged to see if anybody else wants to come in.
Bring them in. Bring them in.
Bloggers. All right, I'm actually seeing which groups. I put this out. I actually upgraded StreamYard to the top tier this month. So I'm actually broadcasting this out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 locations tonight. So, yeah, I'm broadcasting it out. So, Julie Cortez, I see you were actually in the Facebook group. You know what I mean? You need to come in here and share your story. I would love it if Julie came in. She was a Sammy fan. So
I would love to hear a woman's POV on this, because most people look at Van Halen as kind of a guy's band, but except for when Diamond Dave was in it, and a lot of girls liked him. She's a Sammy fan. I'd love to hear her POV.
Yeah. So come on in. Julia, if you're still listening, come on in, click the link. All right.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, my cough kicking in. I actually, it's about time to take my next round of medication to actually make this thing go away.
Uh-oh.
Not ready for camera. You know what I mean? You've got to be ready for camera in one way or another. Come on, Julie.
Oh, nobody cares. Just come in, Julie.
Yeah, the show's almost over, and the more people are going to hear this on audio than camera. So
that's true. Sitting on their toilets.
Yeah, because basically this is going to be replayed on my podcast, on the audio version of my podcast for ages. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, thank you for listening to our podcast. All right. So I did send it out to all of my former, my former podcast guests and say, hey, you want to be on my podcast again? Come join. So anyway.
I thought it was awesome that Van Halen showed up on Michael Jackson.
Eddie did that. And there was a whole thing. He told a story about that one time in an interview where he said that basically, Michael, they called him from the studio and they said, hey, we're trying to put together a certain sound for this song. Can you come down and give us some ideas? And he said he actually threw his guitar in the truck without putting it in a case and left and drove down to the studio. And it was uncredited. Like on the album, he wasn't credited and he didn't care. He just did it. He's like, let me just come down there and do it for you.
Yeah.
Type deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've always thought that was amazing. Yeah. That's pretty cool. See, that's mutual admiration because they both were tops in their field.
So do you remember the movie Twister?
Oh, sure. Yes, they had a song in there.
They had a song in Twister that was just like this bizarre. And I remember at the time, everyone said, it sounds like every Van Halen song built possibly put all together in one song.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they did it. I enjoyed that film. I mean, it was total popcorn. So it was perfect to have Van Halen in there and that kind of mayhem, because it was during a pursuit. I remember when the song was played.
And it actually, I think, was the last song ever recorded with Sammy.
Really?
I think so, because it was. Remember, they made that like after their last album, and they did it as this thing for the movie, and then they went on and did the Best of album, which was the Best of Van Halen Volume 1, where it was some Sammy songs, some Dave songs, and then they recorded 2 new songs with Dave, and Sammy walked. And
Sammy was so teed off about that because he was going, no band makes the greatest hits unless they're on the door and unless they're quitting. He hated that greatest hits. Absolutely.
He did not want to do it. So 5150. All right. So I think this is Julie. So I can't, it shows up Facebook user in here. I've got to go look at on my Facebook page to see, but 5150 is probably my favorite album. Favorite songs, Dreams. So freaking inspirational though. The entire for your unlawful carnal knowledge was pretty badass as well. So the fact that made it through, all right, the censors for unlawful carnal knowledge.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that was one way to just come up with, how do we actually take this word and make it so we can produce it? Anyway.
Yeah. And then one that doesn't get a lot of talk is OU812.
Yeah, it doesn't. 5150 came out. That was the first Sammy album. OU812 is the second Sammy album. And it was. I think it was the second Sammy. You know what I mean? I got to pull back up my things here and see. 1988 was OU812. 5150 was 86.
Yeah.
So, and actually at 5150 is when they come out with the new Van Halen, logo too, if you remember. So,
gosh, yeah. Instead of yeah, you're right. Hadn't thought about that, but you're right. They changed it. They were always, not always, but they were tweaking it.
Yeah. So, and it was one of the coolest one. I think this one here is one of the original ones that I have on my shirt tonight. So, something that, you know what I mean? I wanted to think about, and I'm trying to think of which album it was on. I'm actually going through, but, what are some songs that you think about that really you have to think about that they were done by Van Halen? And I'm looking for, it might've been on Van Halen 2. I don't think it was on Van Halen 1. For me is, You're No Good. That was You're No Good what's her name did that? Was what's her name's song from with the played with the Eagles. No, played with the Eagles. Where the Eagles started. I can't think of her name. Why is it slipping my mind? She was the band. She was the band that the Eagles played for before they became the
Linda
Eagles.
Ronstadt.
Linda Ronstadt. That was a Linda Ronstadt song. You're No Good. And if you listen to Linda Ronstadt's song and then listen to theirs, to me, it was so good. The first song I ever fell in love with on Van Halen was Dancing, or not Dancing. Was it Dancing in the Streets? No.
No, that was Bowie. Bowie did a cover of that with Jagger.
No, but Van Halen did one too. I think it was on Diver Down. On Diver Down, it was either Dancing in the Streets or Pretty Woman. Yeah, Dancing in the Street.
They did Pretty Woman.
They did Dancing in the Street and Pretty Woman were both on Diver Down.
Yeah.
And I remember the first song I ever heard was Dancing in the Streets. And I'd never seen a picture of them or anything. It was like one of the first songs I heard to then go back and research their back catalog at that point, because it was 1981, 82. I mean, I didn't really know who they were until that point. I was like, oh my God. And that's where I started to fall in love. And I remember because I had a bike and I didn't have like a MP3s or something like our Walkman. I had a small boombox that I used to carry with me, and I would carry the boombox and ride my bike.
Yes.
Listen to that. So
yeah,
I remember
I did something like that too. Yeah, with Diver Down, that was material that they had kind of just scraped together. From what I remember, and because they've been touring constantly for months, for like I don't know how many years they were actually. So they didn't have a whole lot to follow up with. So Pretty Woman was kind of thrown in, and they did it, but they weren't real happy about it because it was just something they had to constantly, throw product out on the conveyor belt for the label. That's Warner Brothers.
Well, we're an hour and 13 minutes in, and so basically, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I want to go eat dinner, so I just want to say on Diver Down, though, as we close out, Diver Down had one song that is legendary by Van Halen, and it is played over and over again.
Oh no!
And I you know what I mean? I'm going to see how much of it I can actually get up and get away with before they shut me down. All right. And let me do this because I know I'm going to have to go through the commercial tonight because everybody's hitting commercials on YouTube. But anyway, I'm going to go back in and try to share this one last time and do this.
You're talking about the acapella one?
Mm-hmm. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. It's a B-side.
Very end of the album.
Yeah. Only 1 minute and 5 seconds long. Here we go.
Betrayals to you until we meet again.
Bum, ba, bum.
Happy trails to you, darling, until then. Who cares when we're together?
Just sing a song
and think about
happy weather. We're sober. I swear we're sober.
Yes.
And we're miles away from each other.
bells. Ba-dee-da bum, ba-dee-da bum, ba-dee-da bum. Again.
I can't hear the music, so I don't know what's happening.
And I didn't know if the sound actually played. I don't know if I clicked the button to play sound this time. So
I didn't hear a thing.
Oh, wait a minute. Now it's continuing to play in my background. I went to Pretty Woman to start playing in the background. So anyway, it was playing in my
wrong
ear.
with that.
Yeah.
That song helped relaunch Roy.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, and I will close with this story, I don't know if I can actually get it on YouTube, but it is there. If you go to my old YouTube channel, I think it's Tim Gillette, YouTube.com// Tim Gillette Rocks, and search for Rockstar Wife Walks Down the Aisle to Highway to Hell.
Oh my gosh.
My wife, you know what? I really need to go find this because of the fact that, you know what I mean? It was a mix up we did. And I got to see if I can find it.
Please do.
Let's see if it comes up when you search not just Highway to Hell, but no. So basically, my wife said to me when we got married, she said, "You can choose any song you want for me to walk down the aisle to."
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to go in and find it because I have like 380 videos on that channel.
Jeez.
I have to really go find it. In all of my videos.
You have to dive her down.
Yeah, dive her way down to find this video. I'm just saying. I'm about 120 videos down. Anyway, all the way back to 2012. And my page is taking forever to load tonight to go all the way down on this. And I'm trying. Come on, videos. I don't know. Is there a way to search on your YouTube channel?
I don't know. You know, back in the day, young man, when a famous rocker would die, the radio stations would just shut down programming and they would play nothing but. I remember when Keith Moon died, or when Bonzo died from Zeppelin. You know, they just shut the stations down and they just pulled out their albums, and that's what they played. They played the deep cuts. They played the pop. They played interviews. They played covers. It was really cool. Uh-oh. Oh, yes, I've seen this. Yes.
So first of all, I'm going to get it all out before I hit it into widescreen. And I should have the sound on for you guys so you can see.
He said it was walking down the street.
Where was that?
That was in Irving, when we were at our old house in Irving.
Oh, yeah. Over by the Ville Big Lake.
Yes, that was we were actually on the lake. That was our house on the lake, and that's where we got married. And yeah, that was our song. And as you see, I got married in a bandana, jeans, and a shirt, just hanging out by the lake.
You're such a formal guy.
I just am such a formal guy. So anyway, that was something else I did for my wife. And Jay Lauren Norris, who's been my sound guy, a good friend of both John and I's, actually did that mix for me. He was the DJ at my wedding and did that.
Jay Lauren's awesome.
He is. So he's always been my sound guy for years. So with that, guys, I'm going to close this broadcast out. Ladies and gentlemen, today we mourn the loss of Eddie Van Halen at age 65, died of throat cancer. The legendary guitarist from the band Van Halen we just want to shout out to his family, and at this time, and send your prayers and love to them. And do one last shout out. Eddie, thank you very much, Eddie, for a catalog of music, for a lifetime of fun, and for showing us we don't have to know how to read music to play music. Just saying. I'm Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette Show. Thank you to my guests tonight, John Ivor Chester, who's in my mastermind, Jerry Harden Jackson's in my mastermind, to Jake Valentine for dropping in, and to all of you who put comments in here tonight. And I'm actually going back to your comments to Robert Brooker, Julia Cortez, Melanie Weiser, Cynthia Criswell Croftman. I'm trying to think who else we had in there earlier. Lynn Serrano was in there earlier. So glad to see all of you. Thanks for stopping by, leaving your comments, leaving your tributes to Eddie Van Halen. May he rest in peace. All right. And thank you for being part of our show. I'm Tim Gillette, the Tim Gillette Show, and I'll catch you next time. We out.